All right, let's talk about something we all struggle with. How do you get that brilliant, complex idea out of your head and make it crystal clear for someone else? Well, today, we're going to build the perfect blueprint to turn you into a master explainer.
You know the feeling, right? We have all been there. You're so excited to explain something you know inside and out, but the words they don't land. You see that glazed over, confused look on the other person's face, and you just know there's this huge gap between your amazing idea and your messy explanation.
So, let's say someone asks you to explain sustainable tourism. You might say something like this. And I mean, it's not exactly wrong, but is it a real explanation? Nah, it's really just a couple of examples. It has no depth, no real structure. It's a pretty weak foundation to build on.
See, here's the thing. A truly great explanation isn't something you just blurt out. It's something you construct piece by piece with a plan. And today, I'm giving you that plan. It's a blueprint, so let's get started with part one. Every solid building needs a solid foundation, right? Well, for an explanation, that foundation is a super clear, simple description of what you're talking about. Before you even think about giving examples or reasons, you have to answer the most basic question of all. What in the world is this thing?
So, instead of jumping straight to eco-lodges and straws, we start right here. We actually define sustainable tourism in our own words. This one sentence, this gives us a solid base to build everything else on. It's clear, it covers all the bases, and it sets the stage perfectly.
Okay, so our foundation is poured. We know the what. Now it's time for part two, building the framework. This is where we add the logic. This is all about explaining the why and the how.
Just look at the difference here. On the left, you've got a simple statement. It's fine. But on the right, just by adding one little word, because, we've totally transformed it. It's not just a fact anymore. It's an actual piece of logic. We're explaining the reason behind the fact. And that right there is the heart of a killer explanation. You're showing the relationships between different ideas. You're literally connecting the dots for your audience, showing them the cause and effect that makes the whole thing click.
Okay, so we've got a clear description and some solid logic. But how do we make our explanation, believable? How do we make it convincing? That brings us to part three, the proof. You gotta back up what you're saying. And lucky for us, we have some awesome tools for this. Real-life examples make an abstract idea feel real. Supporting data makes it feel concrete, something you can measure. And bringing in expert references, that adds a whole other layer of authority and credibility. And boom, here's a perfect example of that in action. See, it's not just some vague idea anymore. By naming a specific company like Accor and talking about their actual real-world practices, our explanation becomes concrete, believable, and way more memorable. This is the proof that anchors your logic in reality. All right, we have all our building materials, right? We've got our description, our logic, and our proof. Part four is the blueprint itself. It's about putting all these pieces together in an order that makes sense, a logical flow that's easy for anyone to follow. And here it is, the final plan. First, you start with an intro to grab their attention, get them hooked. Then, you lay out your core explanation, the what and the why. After that, you bring in your supporting details, all that great proof and evidence. And finally, you wrap it all up with a clear conclusion that hammers home the main point one last time. And just like that, you've done it. You've transformed a bunch of scattered facts into a powerful, coherent, and seriously convincing explanation. You've gone from, it's kind of like eco-lodges, to a robust argument that actually teaches people and persuades them. That's a huge difference. So now you have the blueprint, and you can use this for anything, a complex project at work, a passion you want to share with a friend, anything. The structure is yours to use. So the only question left is, what are you going to explain next?